You think if you stay silent, you're losing her. But the truth is, every time you stay away, you're finally letting reality speak louder than your feelings. Right now, you've got that ache in your chest that keeps whispering, just text her, just check in, just prove you still matter. You're telling yourself it would be mature, it would be kind, it would be closure, but let me tell you what it really is. It's withdrawal. And if you don't know what you're withdrawing from, you'll keep crawling back to the same drug with a different excuse. If you're the kind of man who needs the truth more than comfort, subscribe now. Not for me, for you. Because your mind will try to romanticize what broke you. Your emotions will lie with a straight face. And you need reminders that hit harder than nostalgia does. Here's the thesis. Listen closely. This is not about punishing her. This is about ending the illusion. This is about letting time expose what your presence was covering up. This is about refusing to be the emotional life support machine for someone who only respects you when you're willing to lose her. You want to know the misconception? You think your absence is passive. You think it's just no contact. You think it's just distance. But distance isn't passive when you've been the one doing all the stabilizing. Hard truth. When you disappear, you remove the safety net. And what happens next isn't a strategy. It's a reveal. Why does it happen? Because your presence was doing more work than you admitted. You were the forgiveness on demand. You were the reassurance on tap. You were the constant "I'm here" that made her feel safe enough to stay inconsistent. And the moment you stop being available, her nervous system has to face a terrifying question. If he can live without me, what am I really? That's when the cracks show, not because you're attacking her, because time is the most honest mirror there is. And when you stop interrupting the consequences, consequences finally arrive. You need to understand what you've been trained into. When a relationship is hot and cold, push and pull, affection and distance, apology and repeat, your brain doesn't call that love. Your brain calls that uncertainty. And uncertainty is addictive. That's not poetry. That's conditioning. Variable rewards, unpredictable reinforcement keep people chasing longer than consistent rewards do. That's called intermittent reinforcement. And it's powerful because it makes you confuse anxiety with passion. Source: your HTTPs, www.psychologytoday.com, yes, blog, Brainwise, 2003, use unpredictable rewards to keep behavior going. So when you go quiet, your brain panics. Not because she's your soulmate, because the slot machine stopped paying out and you're still pulling the lever. You tell yourself, but what if she moves on? Good, let her. Because if she can be replaced that easily in her own mind, then what you were fighting for wasn't love. It was attachment. It was ego. It was the need to win back what you think you lost. And let's get even more honest. Some of you don't miss her. You miss the version of you that existed when she wanted you. You miss feeling chosen. You miss the high of her attention. You miss the meaning you borrowed from being needed. That's called outsourced identity, and it will bankrupt you. Now let's talk about the real cost of breaking silence. Every time you reach out, you teach her one lesson. My boundaries are negotiable if you wait long enough. You teach her that your anger isn't real. Your standards aren't real. Your departure isn't real. It's just a tantrum that ends when she gets lonely. And you know what that does? It kills your self-respect quietly, not in one dramatic moment, in 1,000 small humiliations. You stop trusting yourself. You stop believing your own words. You stop feeling like a man whose decisions mean something. You start living in maybe. Maybe she'll change. Maybe she'll see it. Maybe this time is different. Maybe is a prison. Reality is freedom. So here's the reframe. Silence isn't a tactic. Silence is a boundary with teeth. Silence is you refusing to donate your energy to someone who didn't protect it. Silence is you finally aligning your behavior with your value. And yes, your silence will mess with her, but not because you're playing chess, because you stopped playing at all. Presence versus silence. Fantasy versus reality, chasing versus choosing. When you were present, she could build any story she wanted. He'll always come back. He needs me. I can treat him however and he'll adjust. Your presence gave her room to rewrite the consequences. But silence? Silence is a locked door. Silence forces the story to end. And when the story ends, she has to sit with what she did without your voice soothing it. That's where she falls apart. Not in the way your anger fantasizes about, not in some cartoon of revenge. She falls apart in the only way that matters. Her certainty collapses because the modern dating economy is built on options, attention, and backup plans. And when you remove yourself cleanly, no begging, no speeches, no one last conversation, no emotional essays, you become the one thing she can't scroll past. You become consequence. And consequence is heavy. You want to know the root cause deeper than she's toxic or she's avoidant or women are like this? The root cause is this. You were over-investing in someone who was under-committing, and you were calling that loyalty. Loyalty isn't staying where you're disrespected. That's fear dressed up as virtue. Real loyalty starts with loyalty to your own standards. That's called self-respect. And boundaries. Real boundaries aren't threats. They're limits you enforce to protect your well-being and values. They only work when you're willing to follow through. Source: https://www.psychologytoday.com. Yes, basics, boundaries. So let's name the trap. You keep contact because you want relief. You want the pain to stop. You want the uncertainty to stop. You want to hear her voice so your body calms down for 10 minutes. But you pay for that relief with your future. You pay for it with your dignity. You pay for it with the next month of obsession you could have ended today. You pay for it with your masculine frame, your groundedness, your certainty, your ability to lead your own life. And here's the part you won't like, but you need. Some of you are addicted to being the good guy. You want to be understanding. You want to be patient. You want to be the bigger person. But you're not being bigger. You're being available. And availability without standards isn't love. It's self-abandonment. You stop. You stop explaining. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop doing emotional labor for someone who didn't earn access to your heart. You stop making her comfort the priority while your life stays on pause. Because every time you go back, you're not just going back to her. You're going back to the version of you that tolerated less. And that man, he's dying. Now, I want you to picture the archetype, the man who actually wins here, whether she returns or not. He doesn't rage post. He doesn't prove a point. He doesn't lurk her stories like a ghost begging for crumbs. He doesn't send long paragraphs trying to be understood by someone committed to misunderstanding him. He is quiet, not weak quiet, not defeated quiet, controlled quiet. He wakes up and his life has structure, training, work, craft, brotherhood, mission. He keeps promises to himself even when nobody claps. He doesn't need to announce his boundaries because his actions announce them. He doesn't hate her. He just refuses to bleed for her. He doesn't romanticize her. He sees her. He sees the patterns. He sees the inconsistency. He sees the disrespect hiding behind, "I'm confused." And he chooses reality. That man doesn't use no contact to get her back. He uses distance to get himself back. And that's why he becomes dangerous in the best way. Because the moment you stop needing her to validate you, you become the kind of man who can actually love without begging. And ironically, that's the only kind of man a healthy woman can respect long term. Now let's talk mechanics, because motivation without action is just mental entertainment. Do this. Cut the supply line. Not for 30 days as a gimmick. Not until she misses you. Cut it because you're done participating in a dynamic that makes you smaller. No texting, no checking, no accidental likes, no friend as a spy, no playlists she might see, no gym selfies as messages. You're not a teenager trying to trigger a reaction. You're a man ending access. And if your hands itch, if your chest tightens, if your mind screams, good. That's your nervous system detoxing. That's your brain rewiring away from uncertainty addiction. Let it burn off. Second, redirect the energy instantly. The moment you feel the urge to reach out, you do one of three things immediately. You train, you work, or you build. You go lift until your thoughts shut up. You go handle a task you've been avoiding. You go create something that will still exist in a year. Because obsession is just energy with no direction. Give it a direction. Third, remove the triggers. If you keep her photos, you're not cherishing memories. You're feeding a wound. If you keep her chats pinned, you're not staying open. You're staying hooked. If you keep the door cracked, you're not being mature. You're being afraid of finality. Finality is what frees you. Fourth, tell the truth to yourself out loud, not, I love her. Say the real sentence. I miss the comfort. I miss the attention. I miss not being alone. I miss feeling chosen. Because once you name it, you can lead it. If you can't name it, it owns you. Fifth, set a standard for the future. Not a fantasy, a standard. What behavior will you never tolerate again? What pattern will you walk away from the first time? What does consistency look like? What does effort look like? What does respect look like? And then you become the man capable of enforcing it without drama. Now you might be thinking, but what if she reaches out? Good question. Because she will sometimes, not always, but often. And it won't always be sincere. Sometimes it's curiosity. Sometimes it's guilt. Sometimes it's loneliness. Sometimes it's a test to see if the leash still works. So listen carefully. If she reaches out with anything that isn't clear, accountable, and consistent, you don't reward it. If it's breadcrumbs, you starve it. If it's vague, you don't translate it. If it's late night, I miss you, you don't become her emotional pillow and her daytime option. You respond only to reality. You respond only to actions. You respond only to change you can observe over time. Because attention is not commitment. Words are not repair. Tears are not transformation. That's called emotional theater, and you're not buying tickets anymore. Now I'm going to hit a nerve. You secretly want her to fall apart so you can feel powerful again. I get it. Your ego wants compensation for humiliation. But power built on her pain is weak power. It's borrowed power. You don't need her to fall apart. You need the part of you that keeps abandoning yourself to fall apart. Let that part shatter. Let time shatter the illusion that she was the prize. Let time shatter the story that you can't be okay without her. Let time shatter the addiction. Because time combined with your discipline does something brutal and beautiful. It returns you to yourself. And when she falls apart, what's really happening is simpler. She's losing control of the narrative. She can't assume you'll come back. She can't assume you'll rescue her from her own consequences. She can't assume you're available as a backup plan. And that forces a choice. Either she grows up or she moves on. Either way, you win because you're no longer negotiating with someone else's confusion at the expense of your peace. But let's not pretend this is easy. Your mind will bargain. It will say just one message to be polite. It will say, just to clear the air. It will say, just to see where she's at. That's bargaining. That's one of the classic grief responses, trying to regain control after loss by making deals with reality. Source, https, grief.com, The 5 Stages of Grief. And what do you do with bargaining? You don't obey it. You observe it. You let it pass. Because you're not here to be comfortable. You're here to be free. And freedom has a price. Discomfort up front, peace later. Comfort has a price too. Relief now, regret later. Choose your price. Let me ask you the question that changes everything. What kind of man do you want to be after this? Not, what do you want her to do? Not, how do you get her back? Who are you becoming? Because if you become the man who can walk away cleanly from disrespect, you will never be at the mercy of another person's mixed signals again. You will never be the man waiting by the phone, pretending you're chill while you're dying inside. You will never be the man who trades his mission for a maybe. And if she comes back to the new you, it won't be because you begged. It'll be because you meant what you did. That's what people respect. Consistency, self-control, integrity, a spine. Now here's the part that might sting the most. If she only values you when you're gone, she never valued you properly when you were there. She valued the access. She valued the attention. She valued the benefits. And your job is not to hate her for it. Your job is to stop offering yourself at a discount because masculine self-respect isn't loud. It's not threats. It's not posturing. It's standards enforced in silence. It's being able to say, without saying it, I don't argue for my worth. I live like it's true. So when the loneliness hits at night, and it will, you don't run. You sit in it like a man. You let it teach you. You let it burn off the weakness you've been calling love. You stop romanticizing the past and you start respecting the future. And every day you don't reach out, you rebuild a part of yourself. You rebuild your authority. You rebuild your focus. You rebuild your identity. You rebuild the part of you that knows, if I say I'm done, I'm done. That's what makes you trustworthy to yourself and to the right woman later, because the right woman doesn't want a man she can manipulate with tears and distance. She wants a man she can relax around, a man whose emotions are real, but whose decisions are solid, a man who loves deeply and still leaves when respect disappears. That's not cold. That's healthy. That's leadership. Now let time do its job. Let time show her what your presence was worth. Let time reveal whether she misses you or she misses controlling you. Let time separate desire from dependency. Let time expose character. And while time is doing that, you do your job. You become undeniable, not for her, for you. Because here's the identity reset you need to tattoo on your mind. You are not a man waiting to be chosen. You are a man choosing his life. You are not a man begging for clarity. You are the clarity. You are not a man chasing a feeling. You are building a foundation. You are not hoping she understands. You understand. You are the answer. And if you want more reminders like this, more truth, more clarity, more hard resets when your emotions start negotiating, subscribe. Not because I need numbers, because you need a voice in your corner that won't let you crawl back into weakness. You're not alone in this. There's a community of men choosing self-respect over chaos, purpose over obsession, discipline over fantasy. Stay with us. Stay solid. Stay away.